Welcome back to Grade 10 Mathematical Literacy. Today we're dealing with understanding patterns, relationships, and variables. The first thing we're going to look at are relationships. This shows us that unleaded petrol costs R9.93. That was in the good old days. Diesel is R9.84. Why can we say there is a relationship between the amount of fuel and the total cost? Well, if we put in fuel, we have to pay a price. So that is why we say there is a relationship. We need to draw a table to represent the relationship between the amount of fuel and the cost. Before we do that, we need to consider, does the cost depend on the fuel, or does the fuel depend on the cost? Well, if we think about it, the cost depends on the fuel, because when you go to a petrol station, you ask them to fill up, and according to how much has been put in the petrol tank, that is what you will pay. Right. The table, complete the table if the cost is R9.93. So, if we have 1 liter of fuel, it is going to be 1 times R9.93, which is R9.93. If we have 2 liters of petrol, it will be 2 times R9.93, which is R19.86. If we have 3 liters of fuel, it is going to cost $27.97. Here, the blanks in this table, sometimes they're represented by just 3 little dots next to each other. It means skip a few, and then we have a look. 10, what will 10 liters of fuel cost? Well, that's going to cost R99.30. Skip another few. What does 30 liters of fuel cost? Well, it's going to cost R297.90. Once we've done the table, we're going to use it to draw the graph. So you would plot your graph. If I have no fuel, there is no cost involved. If we had 1 liter of petrol, you would carefully go and plot R9.93 and so on. We would then join all the points together and it will form a straight line. Now we need to ask ourselves, is this continuous data or is it discrete data? Well, what we do is we say to ourselves, looking at the bottom here, we say, can we buy half a liter of petrol? Yes, you can go to the filling station and put in, you wouldn't put in half a liter of petrol, but sometimes when you fill up, I know that I've put in 46.3 liters. So we can get a fraction of a liter of petrol. As soon as we can get a fraction of a liter of petrol, our data is then continuous, not discrete. And continuous, so the line is continuous, because anywhere along this line, if I had 8.5 liters of petrol, I would be able to determine the cost for that. Right, the next thing we look at is describing in words the relationship between the variables and the table. So a way of saying that, for every liter of petrol a person puts in the tank, it will cost R9.93. Now if we had to put this in maths language, all we're going to do is we're going to change the words into maths. So the cost equals R9.93 multiplied by the number of liters. On the previous slide we saw that we could have a table, we could have a graph, and now we have an equation. So that is 3 different ways of representing the same idea. Let's look at variables. What are the variables? Well, our variables are the petrol and the cost. Those are our variables. Why are they called variables? Well, because they can change, they can vary. I can change the number of liters I put into the tank, and with the change in number of liters, so the cost will change accordingly. Now we look at the dependent and independent variables. Does the cost depend on the fuel, or does the fuel depend on the cost? Normally, we pull up at a filling station and we say, please will you fill up my tank? So the number of liters register on the Bowser, and depending on how many liters of petrol you put in the tank will determine the cost. So the cost depends on the amount of petrol you put in. So from that we can say petrol is the independent variable. It's the independent variable because you can choose the amount of petrol you put in, and then of course the cost will be the dependent variable. The cost depends on the petrol. And normally when you draw a graph, the independent variable will be on the horizontal axis, and the dependent variable will be on the vertical axis. Let's have a look at the cost of Chelsea buns. Well, if I buy one Chelsea bun, it's going to cost me R5. If I buy two Chelsea buns, I think that was R4.50, it'll cost R9, and so on. Why is my line a dotted line now? Well, we've got to decide, is it continuous or discrete? Remember the test for continuous or discrete, you ask yourself, can I buy half a Chelsea bun? Well, if you go to the tuck shop and you ask them to sell you half a Chelsea bun, they will tell you, sorry, I can't. You could buy one and share it with your friend. But as soon as I cannot buy half a Chelsea bun, my data is now discrete. A way to remember that is D for dots and D for discrete. In my graph, I have dots, and I join those dots, or I have points and I join them with a dotted line. So is it discrete or continuous? That was the answer to that. Can I buy half a Chelsea bun? Well, no. Right, that's the end of our lesson for today. Please will you do exercise 1 on page 51. Thank you.